Tune in to Yes, Bitch, Yes with Tiffany, where conversation rules the nation.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Yes, Bitch, Yes with your girl Tiffany, where conversation rules the nation. Today, I have a very special guest joining me. Welcome, Nicole Layog.
Thank
Before
you.
I get to you, Nicole, though, I have to tell everyone who you are. You're not just Nicole Layog. Nicole Layog is, she's so special. Just let me tell you some brief things about her. Born to Puerto Rican and Filipino parents, she was also raised with an Italian uncle, which created a very diverse upbringing and palette for her, okay? After 10 years of law enforcement, Nicole took a leap of faith, retired, and traded in her badge for her apron to become Chef Nicole. She was introduced to the yachting industry by one of her mentors, Chef Nikki, and would advance her career to high-end clients, catering on yachts and private estates. In 2022, Nicole took another leap of faith and applied to CBS's reality show, Big Brother, and would accept the invitation onto Big Brother 24. Since Big Brother, Nicole has been featured in the South Florida Sun Sentinel as one of the 4 headliners for the Visit Fort Lauderdale Food and Wine Festival. She dedicates her time supporting charities to promote children development and other charities supporting LGBTQ community, and she has become one of my very favorite and special and best friends. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. First things first, congratulations. I have a little surprise for you. It's the best way that I can say congratulations on your podcast, and we're just going to give you a round of applause. Oh, you missed the confetti.
I missed the confetti. Damn.
You'll see it on the...
I'll see it when I play
You'll see
it
it
back.
on the... Yeah.
It's so Nicole of you. If you guys may not know, but you will learn, that is so Nicole of you, just to be so thoughtful, think about people, try to make someone's day, make them smile, be funny. It's authentically Nicole, and you always make me feel so a part of your life, like including me in things, sharing, sending me. Oh my gosh, Nicole came to visit me, and when she got home, I had mentioned like one little brief statement of, girl, don't look at all these multi-diverse dishes I have, okay? I'm an equal opportunity dish person. I said, but one day I want to get them all on the same page, like just have a uniform set of dishes. And then I come home one day and I open my mail and I've got this Crate and Barrel. I said, girl, what happened to Target? She sent me a Crate and Barrel gift certificate. I was on there like, oh my God, all the options. But it's kick-started me into just a uniform dishware, because that's just who she is.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to be coming to your house to cook for you, and the way you entertain all the amazing visitors you have, I figured why not have, it's time to start adulting now.
Oh, adulting. Remember you opened my oven and was like, oh, I'm glad you don't store your pots and pans in here. I said, girl, what do you think?
That would have been a deal breaker too.
Not a deal breaker. We have talked for so long about having to do something, wanting to do something. We wanted to get on a challenge together.
Yes.
I think they could only have one. Oh, bitch, it was me.
Yes, clearly. But not mad about the choice.
It's okay. You have a way better workout routine than me. So I think that you still have a greater chance, because my answer is no, bitch, no.
I thought we were in the yes, bitch, yes era.
It is. It's yes, bitch, yes when we can.
Oh, okay. But it's not all the time.
No. Now
I'm pretty sure you distinctly said that there were times when you were on the challenge that you were questioning if you were going to die or not. And
girl,
I mean, that was a pretty intense conversation that I got to witness between you and Chanel and Michaela. And so that was very interesting how y'all were like, yeah, no, we thought we were going to die.
Yeah. Your mic is still low to me.
Okay. So
only in certain things. You like me are soft spoken. And I
Yes.
didn't know that because I always heard I got a bit, like, my family used to be like, hush, it's too loud, you know. But I'm like, how am I loud? And I'm soft spoken. Like, make up your mind.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'm the same way. People say I'm very loud, which I am. I'm very loud. I get told to lower my voice all the time, but I don't know why it's not working now, which is weird. Is it because I keep moving my head around and I'm just talking and excited? I don't know.
Hold on. Now I got an airplane. Can you hear it?
Hold for
Hold,
hold for
hold for safety. Hold for plane.
hold for play. Dang, that's a long point.
Let me write these timestamps down.
Are you being proactive now? Is that why you had to get the piece of paper?
That's right. 5.
Can't believe you missed the confetti. I'm so sad.
I know. Don't worry. I saw it. I saw it at the corner of my eye. I was like,
Oh, you did? Okay.
yeah. 5:50. Okay. That was so cute. It's so Nicole of you.
It is very, it's funny because I was like, how do I congratulate Tiff in the moment and not have to send you flowers or, something like that. So I figured
Sweet. I love
have
it.
a party. And so here,
I love
cheers.
it. Cheers.
Thanks for telling me to go make a cocktail before the show.
Yes. What is in that cocktail?
So it's tequila.
Love it. We are on the same page.
Yes.
I am
Now mine's out of reach now that we've finally figured out where my frame of camera had to be. So we're good. So
We'll pause for a refill.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
let's jump into it.
Yes,
Now,
please.
I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to think about it,
Okay.
and you feel comfortable to share what you want to share. Okay.
Okay.
But I think that those who know you and know you from reality TV, that's how we were introduced to the world
Yes.
as reality TV personalities. And sometimes the people who keep up with us afterwards tend to still view us in that light that, we're reality TV people or we're so-called celebrities, and they don't always get to see us in our, like, live like regular real lives at times. Like, we go through things the same. So my question to you, to allow people who just see you as one-dimensional, as Nicole from Big Brother, to get them to see Nicole the person. This is a 2-part question.
Okay.
Will you share with us your something that you are the most proud of and something that you are the most disappointed in? And this doesn't have to be Big Brother, and I don't really want it to be. I want it to be about you, who Nicole is, to allow people to know who you are outside of that time frame that we had in the house.
And just so you know, I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here today and we wouldn't be having this conversation if we haven't created a safe space around our conversations and things that we've talked about. And I know what's ironic about this question is that we've had conversations surrounding this subject matter when we first became friends and when we first started getting to know each other. And you allowed me that safe space to be able to feel vulnerable and be vulnerable with you. And so it's wild because our lives, you and me, our lives don't revolve around the reality shows that we've been on. And I love the fact that our friendship is surrounded by love and kindness and, actual life. Like we live our lives, we have lives. And, I've been fortunate enough to be a guest in your home and be part of some of your extended family's life as well. And I think that I'm very grateful in that sense that we don't always talk about this subject matter because we don't have to, because our lives don't revolve around what Big Brother was for me and what it is anymore for me and what it was for you. Yeah, we tend to spill our tea a little bit, but like at the same time, like we talk about real life stuff. So anyway, sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to digress, but I just want to make sure.
That's why I want you here.
It's for me, it's anytime we're on the phone and anytime we speak, I feel so safe and I feel like you see me for who I am and we can have those conversations of growth.
Yeah.
and the journey that I've been on. So, with that being said, I'm going to start with the second question of disappointment.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, one of the main things that there was disappointment was how I could have handled things a little bit better for me, meaning that I internalized a lot of the stuff that I was experiencing in the house, and I didn't express those feelings properly, whether it was in the diary room, whether it was people who were in my alliance. And so I think that a lot of those things started clouding me and clouding my judgment and clouding the way we really see things or the way we really handle things in the outside world. And I think that when you're in this pressure cooker and you don't know what to do, you just start relying on what people are telling you. And that's where the disappointment kind of sets in, that I was taking other people's word for things that were happening rather than my own experience of what was going on and how I was being treated or how certain people treated me. I should have followed my instincts. And in the real world, that's what kept me alive for 10 years, as a police officer, was following my instincts. And so I think being in the Big Brother house, I'm disappointed in the fact that I didn't follow those instincts and I didn't listen to that little voice in my head telling me certain things and telling me things were wrong. And when a situation happened or, anything that I was involved in or that I was in the room when something happened that I could have been better. And, I essentially for the last 2 years have been, trying to figure out how to make sure that going forward, I don't do that in real life and I don't do that outside of that house. So, I
think that's a very good, it's a very good reflection to go back and think of, what did I learn from this experience and what did I learn about me in this experience? And it's, even though we are living our real life, we are in that aspect playing a game. Mm-hmm. And there are things in my real life that I would handle differently than I would in a game. So it's kind of hard to look back and say, in my real life, I would have handled this totally different. But in our real lives, we don't have like 750K sitting right here. So it's like, I might punch you in the face in real life. But for 750K, I might let you get away with some things. So I share that to say, not you shouldn't look back and learn or look back and say, I could have handled some things differently, but also to put things in perspective.
Yes.
We would all handle real life situations differently than we would in a game, So
absolutely.
Don't beat yourself up too much.
Not anymore. And that's, and I've learned that because of even conversations you and I have had. I mean, we both know that you weren't my biggest fan when certain things happened in the house.
You remember that?
Of course I remember.
I just wanted to
this
talk
better
to
make
Tiffany.
the edit.
Who? The tweet is still out there. Who she say? I know she ain't talking about me.
Oh God, Twitter.
But that's growth. It's growth.
It
and
is
you know
growth.
What? I know you got to get to your second part of your question. I just want to say, you're so right about looking back at how we have handled things. I think that's just self-reflection, and it's how we grow. But I was totally against there's a whole nother story, but
right. But I'm saying is that's where you and I grew from a place of I don't even know the word. I mean, I feel like if it weren't for Todrick.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Do you remember our first conversation?
Yeah. We wouldn't get off the phone, but I will say this, if it weren't for Todrick, thank you, Todrick.
Thank you, Todrick.
He knocked some sense into you and said, give her a call.
I mean, and I was still stubborn. You know, here's what people don't know about
But you
Todrick.
sent me the most beautiful. You sent me the most beautiful message before that the phone call even happened, and
Oh, yeah, to connect. It
yeah,
took, yeah, it was like, I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. It's not my responsibility. Don't call me to be the fairy godmother of everybody post BB23. And, you know, Todrick has a very kind heart and he's so open and forgiving. And I can understand why, because when you have been cast out and ostracized and been like blackballed or the black sheep and you know that everything that people perceive about you is not your intention. You want to be forgiving. You want to be given a chance. And so he's more willing to give people a chance. So when he reached out to me and he's like, you know, I talked to Nicole. She's a great person. She really likes you and was hoping to talk to you. You should talk to her. And I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to get involved with things. And I do think that we allow the perception the perception of other people to get into our minds, specifically, i.e., like the fans. Well, I don't want the backlash from the fans. I don't want the, and it's like, you know, I'm glad that I came to my own senses and realized I've got to live Tiffany's life and make Tiffany's decisions for Tiffany, her family, her son, not people who I actually don't know and who don't know me. And then at some point I did think about it and think it through and was like, you know what? It's not going to hurt me to reach out to her. I don't know what she's going through. And I'm glad I did. We couldn't get off the phone. I planned to talk to you for like 5 minutes. Hey, girl, you know, I'm glad you're okay. If you need somebody to talk to, you can call me. It's all good. I'm fine. Ain't no beef or nothing like that. But we talked for 2 hours.
2 hours, and it was nonstop. And it went both ways, back and forth. I mean, what a beautiful conversation.
I don't go both ways yet, but I am thinking about it.
I know. It's still trying to get you there.
So we're gonna get to that a little bit.
Can we? Oh, okay, that's going to be like a shot halfway through the podcast, and then we'll figure out from there. No, but I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate this platform. You and I both know that other than one other like offshoot podcast, I've never really openly talked about Big Brother, because pre-Big Brother, believe it or not, I'm a very private person, very private life. And so, when you come out of the house and you see all the craziness that's going on, I mean, the messages alone, like, holy crap. I mean, I get it. Somebody sent me a message today. It said, "We will never forget." And I was like,
I'm so sorry that there are not more pressing matters going on in your life.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
but I'm glad to know that I'm so unforgettable.
I'm like, thank you. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, and that's the other thing. It's like, I am sorry. And like, if somebody I know has a problem with me, or if they have a problem they want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Like, why does it have to be, so one-sided? But anyway, I digress. I don't like, whatever. That's just
now. Let me bring you back.
Yes.
Tell me something from 0 to this fabulous young age you are now that you can think of to share that you are the most proud of in your life.
Honestly, I am most proud of my resilience. And I think that goes hand in hand with being, and this goes from life of 0 to now. I've had a therapist once tell me that I'm a survivor, and I am. I'm a survivor. And whether that's because of being abused as a kid, whether that's being, bullied as a teenager, whether that's, wearing a vest every day and having a gun on my side, I survived 10 years of my life that any one of those days I might not have made it home. And so I think that my resilience and my survivor techniques of how I've approached life and how I've worked my way to where I am today is just, it's such a huge milestone. I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate to have all the people I have in my life who support me and who are my biggest fans. And it's unwavering. And, I'm grateful for that. So I don't really know if that answers the question, but I think that being able to move through life with resilience is very important, because how do you get back up? How do you work through the things that people expect you to crumble and sit in a corner and cry and bury yourself and not be able to just live? And so I think that it's a huge accomplishment for me that I'm able to say that I can do that.
agree with that. Like, I'm sure that there are so many things that I don't know about you. But there's so many things that in the time that I've gotten to know you, I recognize. Like, when I think about Nicole, and I think this is something we can relate to each other on. You are just you're unapologetically you, but you are so outside of the box. And you take chances on Nicole that not everybody is willing to take on themselves. You don't work a traditional 9 to 5.
No.
You left a job to go off on your own to pursue your passion in culinary arts, and then instead of just going to like a food chain franchise, and even if you did start, I know you had an experience and you use Whole Foods to promote your platform, but you found a way to get into some high-end places, and that has to start here. You don't just it doesn't just fall into your lap. You have to actually believe that you have the capacity to be that. And so then I talk to you sometimes and you're like, I don't freaking know where she is. She's on an island.
Bermuda.
Yeah, she's in Bermuda for 30 days cooking for her client. She's traveling the world. I'm on this yacht. You're sending me pictures. And, someone who also went through something similar where I left my job and I started my own business. And I had this vision that I'm going to be not just a phlebotomist, on this level, but I wanted to be grandiose. Like, I wanted to experience elite clientele. I wanted the star athletes. I wanted to be flown out on private jets. And just this past, within the last 3 months, I just stepped onto my first private jet for one of my clients just to draw their blood. So you are a part of the LGBTQ community and you're out, and you said something earlier. You said, prior to BB, I've always been a private person. And I think it kind of comes with our generation where we didn't grow up with cell phones and video cameras and everyone recording and posting our every move. So we only know to be private. Right. But even in that, you still are open with who you are, and you don't live confined in a box. Like, where does that, and I heard you say something earlier and you breezed by it, and I only want you to talk about what you're comfortable with, but like the bullying and certain abuse that you've gone through in your life. Like, everybody doesn't take the negatives, the lemons, and turn them into lemonade. When and how did you decide, I'm not going to allow my past to define my future?
Wow. Okay. I didn't expect that question coming. This is what happens when you and I even talk on the phone, or when we're when we're vibing out, like we just it's like vomit, like word vomit. Honestly, I think it's just always, it's like a progression. Like, it's always happened in my life. And so it's like, oh, I remember 7 years old, and, the way my dad would treat my mom and the way my dad would treat us. And I knew that I just needed to go to school the next day and just keep moving forward. And so I did. Or I figured, you know what, instead of exposing myself to the negativity at home, I'm going to keep playing basketball, or I'm going to get involved in a food program, or I'm going to get involved somehow that doesn't allow me to be stuck at home, to wallow in the negativity and to be a victim. Like, it's not my nature. This question is so wild because I haven't talked about any of this stuff. I wasn't always the cutest kid. Like, I was ugly as fuck. Like, I had a unibrow, I had a mustache, I mean,
I had a mustache, so we're not going to
I
talk
mean,
about
listen,
girls'
on top of that, like, it was just, I had this hair that was just like long and thick, and like
You
people didn't
felt
know.
different. You
Yeah,
felt
I
different.
was different. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't know if I was gay or straight or if I liked girls or if I liked boys. I mean, I didn't know who I was. And so middle school sucks. Middle school is the meanest era for children ever. And, talking about LGBTQ issues, it's so sad seeing what some of these kids are going through now and trying to figure out who they are. And it's a struggle and they don't know. And some of them have taken their lives. And it's so sad that, I remember being them at that age. And I remember struggling with, like, who am I? Like, do I like boys? Do I like girls? I was scared to tell anybody that if I liked a girl. But, like, I also didn't understand what that meant. I remember these two girls in middle school. I put my arms around them to say hello, and they went around school and pretty much told everybody that I was gay. They were like, Nicole's gay. Layog is gay. And I remember running to one of my teachers and just hysterically crying. And, the boys in my class would tease me. You're such a tomboy, It's like they would draw like nasty images of me like on the board. And there's that part of me that I'm just like, fuck you. Like, what the fuck? Like, kids are so mean.
Were you feeling that way at that time? Were you trying to understand what you were feeling at that time?
No, but I think about it now. Obviously now it's like 30 years later and I'm realizing, like, oh man, I was struggling with my identity. I was struggling with not knowing my feelings, but I didn't know back then. I was like, no, I wanted all the boys. They were hot and cute. And then I was just ugly as fuck. Like, I had a unibrow and a mustache and, like, oh, just such a mess. Like, it just was horrible. Thank God for high school. Like, high school was actually really nice to me, minus a couple, dramatic moments. But, like,
Oh
you know
God,
what
I hated
happens.
high school. And everybody who knew me in my high school, you know why I hated high school. It wasn't because it was me. It was because it was you.
Oh, I know. Here, cheers.
Cheers. Yes. Mm-mm.
I don't know. I know we need to circle back to what we were talking about, but
We are having conversation, girl.
honestly,
Conversation.
I honestly feel like there's never been a moment in my life that I've said, oh my God, this was the pinnacle moment that has made me do this or be this or work from this. It's always, and it goes back to your original question, or it goes back to our original, like, idea of what we were just talking about. Like, it's because I'm resilient. It's because I'm a survivor. I never allowed any of that stuff to keep me down. So if 50 of you don't like me, okay, that's fine. I'm sure there's one person here who, is a friend. And that's how I've always lived my life. Is I started not caring what people thought. I started realizing, like, I don't give a shit what people think about me. And that's just, I am who I am. I'm loud. I can walk into any room and make a friend. I realize that, like, I can connect with people on a different level, but I also don't need to be everybody's friend. I know that I'll never be everybody's cup of tea. And so, it
That's because you're
basically,
tequila, girl.
what'd you say?
Because you're tequila.
Well, that too.
Can't be tea when you tequila.
I don't know. So for me, there's no specific moment in time that made me think, okay, I'm just not going to allow that to take over who I am and who I'm growing into being and who I'm going to be. I love who I am, and you're right. I mean, sometimes I'm very unapologetic about that, and I say things. I say how I feel, period. And when I say it with my chest, and I say it loud, and it's just who I am. It's can you imagine if I was a mute, or if I
Any of us.
like any of us? Can you imagine if you weren't Tiff and I wasn't Nicole? We wouldn't have the experiences that we've had together, and we wouldn't have the memories that we have together. And I've grown into who I am today, and I'm always changing. I'm always going through it. So I don't know. I don't even know if I answered your question.
No, you did.
Okay.
Touching base on overcoming childhood trauma.
Hmm.
And for those of you who don't have stories of childhood trauma and didn't experience childhood trauma, you are so blessed, and you should really, really thank your parents or your support system that allowed you to be you during your childhood so you could grow into who you are today. Because I my childhood was very interesting. I wasn't raised by either one of my parents for most of my childhood. And so other people had to step in and attempt to raise somebody else's child and curb this person's personality into who they thought I should be. And I was never those personalities. I was never those characters who they had drawn up in their mind. And I think that when you have people like you and I who have these gregarious personalities, and they talk a lot and they're opinionated and they don't believe in certain things, and they challenge you on these systems they try to place you in, then you're perceived as you're disrespectful or you're bad, and then you do end up suffering types of abuse, whether it's verbal, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental abuse, physical abuse, because I got my ass beat for a lot of things. I got my ass beat for everything.
I think we all got listen, you look at me, not trying to like age us at all, but I think we also grew up in a time that was normal. And, I thought it was normal. I thought the way I was being treated was normal. But at the same time, I still, my dad put fear in us. Like, yeah, I'm coming home on time and I'm not sneaking out. Like, I already know, like, I will not have a life tomorrow if I did that shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, we were, beat the shit out of us. I can't even, there's no other way to even say that. Like, it's true. It's the truth.
So you mentioned that at some point in your life, a therapist was helping you through some of these situations that you had experienced. So I want to ask you, how do you feel? Because that's not something a lot of people share or are willing, i.e. me.
Mm-hmm.
I went to therapy once for about 90 days, about 10 or so years ago. And I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to go to therapy because I don't want to talk about the things I have tried extremely hard to forget about. I don't want to remember something that I've forgiven already. I don't want to unpack it. It's packed up. It's in a suitcase with a lock on it in the basement underneath the stairs with dust on it. I don't need it. I have actually given it to the Goodwill, but they don't accept things like that. So it had to stay in my possession because it's mine. But I don't need to go digging through it. But that's me. And I know it's probably not what someone else would subscribe to or suggest for me, but it's my way of getting through life, right?
Yeah.
How would you describe your support system and your networks of therapy that, if they did, what support system did you have that allowed you to be comfortable being Nicole?
I think, well, for the longest time, I didn't believe it, because when you're a police officer, there's that stigma of, you never want a therapist to have anything documented of like feelings or anger, or how you manage your anger, in a sense, because how you deal with the job at hand, people are going to start, this is the stigma. People are going to judge you for how you handle a certain situation based on, are you going to therapy? Are you talking to a therapist? So I never understood that. And it wasn't until I think the last 2 years of my career as a police officer, I was a detective. And I was having issues in my marriage, and, my ex-wife suggested, like, why don't you go to a therapist? Like, just talk to somebody. And I was so against it, but I couldn't kick this like feeling of just like negativity, like flowing through my body. And I felt very stuck, and I felt I was very unhappy. I was unhappy in my marriage. I was unhappy with my family life. I was unhappy with everything going on. And so I did. I started going to therapy, and I realized, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I get to talk to somebody about some deep rooted shit. I get to talk to somebody about some of my darkest feelings, about how I feel about my dad, about how I feel about my mom, about how I feel about my sister, and like how I was raised and the way I grew up. And therapy helped me realize, like, you're going to be okay. Like, there's ways around it. There's tools, there's techniques of how you respond to things. Like, I can snap. And when I say snap, I don't mean it violently.
Yeah.
I mean snap, like if you were like asking me a question, or if we were in, a conversation, and I'd be like, well, fuck you. Like, no, fuck you. Like, instead of that being my response, I've learned that my response, now I'm just thinking about Big Brother and like how I responded to a couple things, but because it's on national TV. So whatever. Anyway, but I think about how I respond to things, and how I might or might not have fallen off a hammock, but
fell out of chair when you was here, but you were imitating somebody, so that's different.
I was imitating.
Inside joke.
You're horrible. So bad.
Embarrassed the shit out of me.
I know.
Fell on this couple at the restaurant. I digress. I'm trying to stay on task.
I don't know if it was and that's like the second time I've embarrassed you. Or wait, maybe that, I don't remember. Anyway, I've embarrassed Tiffany a couple times.
I don't get embarrassed. I just be
both
like,
in front of family.
I'm like, that's
just
Nicole.
So we're clear.
Really second.
Sorry.
That was the second time.
That was the second time, huh? I would like to publicly apologize to Tiffany for embarrassing her.
Thank you. Take that one.
Hey, when I'm wrong, I admit when I'm wrong, and I will apologize, and I will, own up to my
such
shit.
An amazing person. I don't know if it's because you're a Gemini. I am keen to Geminis. I love them. They just get me, and I get them. I have not met one Gemini I didn't like. I try not to ask people what their sign is. I'm telling you, y'all Gemini.
It was love at first hug. When Tiffany and I met for the first time. We hugged each other, and it was we embraced each other, and we didn't want to let go.
Everybody felt it too.
They did. They were like, "Can y'all like go somewhere else?" I was like, "It smells so good."
Like, I might be gay a little bit ish.
Don't start that shit again. We already went through that.
I do want to get. I want to get to it. But
okay. But hold on. Okay. So anyway, yes. Wait. What the fuck were we talking about? I don't remember. Therapy.
Yeah.
So yes. So therapy has helped me tremendously in different aspects of my life, and it was one during that time, like right at the end of my career being a cop. And actually, therapy helped me realize that I don't have to fucking be a cop anymore. And I fell in love with cooking. I had gone to culinary school, had to quit going to culinary school because I became a detective. And I realized that I was in love with something and had a bigger passion for something more than law enforcement. And so, yeah, that's when I left. And then at that time is the same time that my ex-wife and I took another leap of faith, and we moved to Colorado, and I went from making $75,000 a year to making $11 an hour. And so that in itself, I never realized how something that sounds not so severe could affect somebody, but it did. It fucked me up. I felt like I was like this big. I didn't, I thought that my paycheck defined who I was. And here I am, a fucking dishwasher and a butcher, not realizing that those were the two best jobs that I could have started my career with. And look where I am today. And anyway, so therapy got me through that. And then therapy got me through my divorce. Made me see a lot of things in myself that I had never seen before. And, you know, there's moments of growth. There's moments of extreme sadness and disappointment in yourself. And I mean, talk about self-reflection, self-care. I wasn't taking care of myself. I think I weighed somewhere around like 120 pounds, soaking wet. I looked sickly. I was not taking care of myself.
Like me. Like I always thought you were going to be like, I weigh like 200 pounds, but because some people, you know, when they stress, you either eat or you don't. And I'm a don't.
Or all you do is
I'm a don't eat.
I'm a drink only when I stress out.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was on liquid diet. I was basically drinking my life away. And, you know, but I dove into work. So I was going through a divorce, but I dove into work. And, you know, there's an author, her name's Brene Brown. And the therapist that I was seeing at the time followed one of her books. And one of Brene Brown's books is Rising Strong. And what that book taught me and what that therapist taught me was that you have to pick yourself up. You just pick yourself up. You can't fall down and not get up. How are you going to walk to the store? How are you going to walk to your job? How are you going to walk, or, you know, you have to keep moving. And I think that that's one of the most important things that I've learned through therapy is that you have to move, and you can't move around it. You can't jump over it. You can't swim underneath it. But you got to work through that shit. You got to face it head on, because if you don't, where are you going? You're not going anywhere.
You know, this is something, and I'm still myself trying to understand how much of myself I want to share, right? But if you're watching, then you support me, and you're watching because maybe you want to know more. So I strive to be transparent in these conversations that I have with my guests, who are my friends. And I probably have a bias about certain things, because it's like I hear you saying you have to work through it. And so, like, I think, to me, I've overcome a lot of those things I dealt with in childhood. And let's just get specific. Like, my relationship with my mother is a little challenging sometimes. It is so much better today than it has ever been. But we spent let me see, I got there yesterday at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we spent 5 hours together yesterday. I realized that 3 is probably my max. And it is not from the childhood trauma. It is just who she is as a person. And I love her. But I'm willing to say I don't accept certain things. I'm willing to admit that.
But that's growth, and that's good, because you and I have had these conversations. I'm sorry, I'm making all this
Don't
noise.
knock it over.
Sorry. We have had many conversations, Tiffany. This is, I think, one of the things that has brought Tiffany and I very close together, is that, you know, we both have very similar relationships with our mothers. And so the thing that we need...
Which would be why we don't have any daughters, but go ahead.
Thank God for Christian.
Girl, could you imagine?
No. Oh, my God. Don't even get me started.
I can't lie. Probably
Don't forget, my sister has a daughter, so the struggle is real. But I fucking forgot my train of thought. Oh, what I'm trying to say is that in some of the conversations that you and I have had when it pertains to our parents, is that we have to remember that we need to accept that they are probably not going to change and that we need to figure out a way. And I have this conversation all the time. We have to figure a way how to set boundaries for ourselves and to set boundaries that aren't necessarily apparent to them, but we have to place those boundaries so that we can continue to be kind and be loving.
Yeah.
And,
One of those boundaries is 3 hours is my max.
so you and me both. I mean, I spent time with my mom the other day, put it out there. My mom is going through another battle of cancer. And so she had surgery and I decided to go hang out with her. And so I said that I was going to spend the day with her. I spent 3 hours with her and I was like, okay, mommy, gotta go, bye. And it has nothing to do with the fact that like, I don't want to hang out with her.
Yeah.
It's, I have to set that boundary for myself because
I
I
still
know
want to
that
I still want to see you next time you ask to see me.
yeah. And I also want to be able to make this meeting enjoyable. Like I want to make sure that I'm not getting frustrated and my patience isn't at 0. I want my patience to be 150. I want to give her all the love and show her all the love. And with everything that we have going on with our family, like, I just, my heart, like, I love my mom so much. And so I know you love your mom so much, but we also have to remember that, like, we have to set that boundary. But I think one thing that I have learned, and that's with, even my girlfriend and her with her mom, and one thing that she was told by one of the pastors or one of the members of her church was, we need to start meeting our parents with kindness. And if we already meet them with forgiveness and kindness, the interaction is going to be better. And so for somebody who doesn't go to therapy, you also need to remember that our parents did the best that they could with the tools that they had. And so we have to remember that, and we have to show them grace, because at the end of the day, when your mom shows up with a bag of socks that you did not want, because she should know that you don't wear crew socks and that you wear low ankle socks, that the best way to respond to something like that is to say thank you.
Yeah. I want to touch on this for a little bit. I am struggling with that. Here's why I struggle with that. It's because I'm not the only one who needs to go to therapy. You need to go to therapy too, Mom, because what you're doing is you are trying to make up with me for the years you missed. And now you want to mother me with crew socks at this big age because you, one, don't know what I like, don't know what I'm interested in, don't know my dislikes, but you want to show up with kindness and you want to imitate love and do something for me. And then I'm supposed to smile at it with kindness and go, thank you, when I know you just wasted your time and your money. And I also want to give you the opportunity to know me. So I want to be able to say, hey, I don't like these socks. Thank you. And I appreciate that. But what I find is mothers who didn't show up when there was time want to, now that they have put down the toys they were playing with when they should have been spending time getting to know us, now that they've put those toys down, they want to pick us up and play with us. And I ain't to be played with. So I'm like, hey, stop trying to mother me. And I get it. There's people out there who are going to go, oh, you don't know the next time such and such could happen. My mom is not in the best of health either.
Yeah.
And I think about that, and I've already accepted that. So my time that I spend I'm willing to accept if it's my last time.
Yeah. But I think that, you know, with you saying that, I mean, that's how I am too. Like, I don't know. Like, I've lost so many family members in the last 6 months. I'm like, when is it going to stop? But I have to remember too that that's just, it comes with age. We're getting older in our ripe 30s.
Yeah,
40s,
period.
whatever.
I just turned 30.
32. Cheers. That's right. We 1990s, baby.
Okay. I know my year. Lied on my resume.
So here, with what you're saying, first I want to say I love you, and I know exactly what you're dealing with, and I know exactly what you're going through because I experienced the same exact thing. Instead of approaching that situation in the sense of like frustration and annoyance. Is that even a word? I don't even know.
Annoyance?
Is a word.
Of course it is.
Okay, we're going to go with it. So I think that this is that moment that I was just talking about, that you have to meet your mom with that forgiveness and with that kindness. Because even if she's trying to make up for something that she couldn't control 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, what's great and what's so important and what's so beautiful about what you did is she's trying to make up for it. And she's trying to make up for what she couldn't do before. And so if you think about it on a bigger scale and from a Nicole point of view, looking on the inside from the outside, is that the idea behind that she's doing it because she wants to make things right, and she wants to make you happy, and she wants to be able to give you something, because guess what? When you weren't being raised by her, she couldn't give you any of those things.
Yeah. I do. I accept that. Okay. First, let me say I accept that. There's also a part of me that wishes she would try to get to know me, though, and know that material things aren't the way to my heart. Like, you don't have to buy me anything for me to love you. I just would like if you would listen to me sometime.
Yeah.
But it's the things that I really need is like your support, your understanding, your patience. This honestly may sound harsh to people who do not know my story. It's just going to take time for you to understand where I'm coming from. And maybe you don't come from a place that I do. And I am as kind and as nice and as patient as I can be. I'm doing my best too. And so it's not for me the childhood trauma. It's today.
Yeah. But it comes together, Tiff. Like, that's the thing, is like it's all from the same source. And it's always going to show up in different ways, but it's always going to be the same thing. And we also have, we have to remember that, I was just talking to my cousin the other day. She said, she's the best thing that's been getting through the things that have happened recently is therapy. And I said, that's amazing. Can we get all of our parents to please go to therapy because they need it? And she said, well, you know what? My mom is going to therapy and it's helping. And I said, good. Tell her to call my mom and then have my mom call my aunt, and then tell that aunt to call my other aunt, and tell her to call my cousin.
Tell her to call my mom, and then tell my mom to call her mammy.
Right. Because we need to also, so here, okay, see, now we're just like going down that damn, watch, this is where it gets so fucked, Tiffany, is that you're literally preaching exactly what I was just going to say, is that we also can't look at our parents and say, this is your fault, because guess what?
Yeah.
Whatever fucking hand their parents were handed was then handed to them, and then they decided to have us and raise us. And then here we are 30 years later, and we're dealing
on a podcast, talking about our troubles,
talking about our
therapy.
traumas. Right. But that's the thing is like here, and that's for me, that's what therapy brings to the table, is that therapy makes me realize, and also all the spiritual shit that I love, like Reiki and acupuncture and,
meditation.
Living that sort of life and meditation, and realizing that I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for the things that I experience and for the things that I feel. So the best way I know how to do that is I need to release that shit. I need to let that shit go. Mm-hmm. And my always best advice to anybody that is dealing with childhood trauma, anything, you have to forgive and you need to let it go. And guess what? You don't even have to say sorry to that person, or they don't even have to say sorry to you. The forgiveness is on your end. I've forgiven you and I am letting it go. They don't need to know that you've forgiven them. Mm-hmm. It's about you being able to forgive what happened and being able to just heal from that space mm-hmm. and heal from that trauma. And so, but there's so many things. I mean, we could go on and on about our moms, but one thing that we have to remember is that there's just still so much deep-rooted shit that it's not going to be solved in one day, and it's not going to fix itself.
Or a lifetime.
Or same.
To me, I think that I have forgiven. Okay. What I don't like is when people try to make me feel like, well, if you've forgiven, then this door should still be open. It's not.
It doesn't have to be open.
It is not. And I'm not talking about in this situation, I'm talking about my mom, but there are other people that I feel like, and it's hard because we are at the age where people who have supported us or helped raise us over our lifetime are at an age where they're on the way out, right? And I don't know, maybe I'm hard, but in my forgiveness and in the short time we have, I still don't want the relationship.
And that's okay. You don't have to have that relationship. And that goes with anybody. There can be plenty of forgiveness. There can be plenty of healing going on, but that's your choice. That's up to you. There doesn't need to be a relationship surrounded by any of that. Just because somebody apologizes and admits their shit and takes ownership of what's going on doesn't mean we need to be besties. Doesn't mean that we need to go travel through life together and explore this journey of growth and whatever. No, bitch. That's no bitch. No, we don't need to do that.
So it's like, I look at things like I'll have conversations with my family members, and they will be some of the people who have mistreated me the harshest and will be upset that somebody mistreated me a little bit, ready to take action. I'm like, take action against your people. Why is it that the people who love you will make excuses for their abuse towards you and say, well, family is this how it is. But then when someone on the outside wrongs you, they'll go, we don't like that person. Don't bring that person around. Never. I'll fight that person. And I'm like, fight your mama. Because maybe I wouldn't be so accepting of outside behaviors had I not had to swallow the abusive pill coming up from you. Maybe if you hadn't dished it, then when I got it on the outside, it would be foreign to me. Except it's not.
Yeah.
It's what I learned to be used to.
Well, and I think we all resort to that used to behavior. I mean, listen, I can go to therapy 7 days a week and hours at a time and work on my shit and try to figure stuff out. And I've made improvements and I have growth. But guess what? Sometimes we resort back to accepting certain behaviors because it's what we're used to. And it's, you know, it's sad, but it's called conditioning. And we're conditioned to like accept these things in a way that like, oh yeah, I guess it's okay if you talk to me passive aggressively and you're a fucking narcissist and you're manipulative. And we allow this behavior to happen because that's how we were raised, or that's the environment that we thought was normal for fucking 15 years of our lives in adolescence, where we're growing and our brains are growing and we're learning these behaviors and we think it's okay and it's not. And I think that the whole important part of this conversation is that we can have the conversation and that we can sometimes see the red flags, but not really see the red flags because, you know, that's all about dating and we can go down that path in another way. But we start seeing these behaviors and we realize that what's really fucked up about that is that we are attracted to some of those behavior traits. And sometimes we take the confidence, which is actually really a cockiness and really another behavior that's very abusive. And you and I both know that we've experienced that in relationships before. So it's very ironic that there are times that we accept that and that we allow it. But then there are times that we realize like, oh no, this is not for me.
Yeah.
But that's growth. I mean, when you can point that shit out and you know when it's time to walk away from something, I mean, that's growth. And you're doing the work.
And I embrace growth, okay? And when you say like there are times when you won't accept that and that's growth, my not accepting it means I'm not accepting it from the outside or the inside either. And so when there are people who are saying you shouldn't accept that kind of behavior, I'm like, watch what you say, because that means I'm going to cut you off too. Well, I'm fat. Why don't you hold yourself to a higher standard?
Well, because people don't hold themselves accountable.
And then it's like, well, that's all I know. I remember, you know, I've shared so many conversations with my cousin Sherry, may she rest in peace, about
my favorite Gemini.
My favorite Gemini. And that, you know, I remember one time we were having a conversation and she was telling me like her daughter was still in high school and she's like, oh, she's going off and she's doing this with her friends. She want to do that. She wants to stay out this time. I usually don't, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and I voiced it. I was like, I couldn't do stuff like that. I don't know how you let her do stuff like that. And she was like, but did you like that for yourself? And I was like, no. She was like, so I don't understand why you wouldn't understand why I'm allowing her different. And it like opened my mind.
Wow.
Because
That's a mind-blowing experience. Right?
Here I am like criticizing her and judging her for allowing her child to do something that I wasn't allowed to do, and couldn't understand how I couldn't do that. She's like, yeah, but you didn't like it either. And then
Sherry dropping knowledge on us.
Period.
And she's not even here. She's amazing.
And I had to realize, like, you know, sometimes people will fall back on that. Well, that's all I know. Because really, I couldn't see it any differently. I knew I wanted it differently, but I didn't know what it looked like to be done differently. So, had she not said that to me, the things that I didn't like, I would have put those onto my child because I wouldn't have known differently, even though I didn't like that it was dished to me that way. And so I think that whether we have children or not, in my growth and in learning, I try to be a better person to other people based on what I've learned, not just a better mother, but also a better friend, a better lover, a better partner, companion, person, employer, employee, team player. I just try to realize I didn't like the way this employer treated me. Now I am an employer. Do I do my employees the same way because that's all I know? Or do I try to learn differently and give them what I wasn't given so that they can feel valued in a way I didn't feel? But a lot of times, if we don't want to know a different way, we'll resort to all we know and we'll use that as an excuse to not grow.
I mean, I think that hits it in a very sweet spot too, though. It's like excuses. I mean, all day, every day. You know, we give ourselves excuses. We make excuses for ourselves when it comes down to it. And obviously, this is a different subject matter, but in the same realm of things, under the same umbrella, like we have to stop making excuses.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start facing that shit head on. Like, I fucked up. Yeah, I fucked up. You know what? I fucked up. I said things that I should not have said, or I said things that were taken out of context. And you have to own it. You have to face it. And you have to figure out how to move through it and past it. Bye. It's the past. It's back there. Why are we still talking about shit that happened 10 years ago? Why are we still talking about shit that happened 2 years ago? Why are we still talking about shit that is irrelevant in my life, in your life, and whoever else's life that is involved?
I remember.
Period.
I was I'm piggybacking off of what you just said because it struck a nerve. And it's so true. I remember I had gotten into it with my mom, and this is years ago. It's about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. I got into it with her about something. My uncle calls me and he's like, you know, what's going on? And I'm like, you know, she doesn't want to accept accountability. You know, when I was 10, Now I'm well off. I done got a baby and everything. And I didn't have my son till I was almost 30. So I'm talking about when I was 10 to my uncle. He says to me, how long are you going to talk about when you was 10?
Damn. He called you out.
I was like, what you mean? He was like, yeah, I understand. And I'm not trying to say that it didn't and you shouldn't feel. But how long are you going to hold on to when you were 10? Mm-hmm. The reason why it made such a big impact to me to think about it is because I know people who are 70 and 80 talking about when they were 6.
That's a long time ago.
I realized that I didn't want to be another day older talking about when I was whatever age I was, still holding on to the trauma, because then I would turn into the 60, 70, 80-year-old still talking about my childhood. I realized I needed to find a way to get over that. I'll say, I don't go to therapy yet. What I did do, and I started doing, is writing. And I started writing everything I would say to a therapist. And here's kind of why I was like, I ain't going to therapy, because it's nothing wrong with it. But my therapist would let me sit down and just talk. And they might ask me a question and they would just open up and I would just talk. And I was like, you ain't giving me yay, nay, an answer to nothing. You just letting me talk. It's not a problem. But when I started writing, and when I started writing, I don't mean like, I really started writing like I was writing a book. And in my writing, when I would say things that someone said to me, I would describe them, what they were thinking at that time, what they were going through in their life at that time, how they said what they said to me, and their emotions and their thoughts, which meant I had to put myself in that person's shoes and allowed me to see them very differently. And I wrote, in 2012, I wrote about 400 pages.
Wow.
From whenever I could remember, the stuff I didn't like that I went through. And I wrote it all down. And then I sent it to my friends, and they were like, bitch, when you publishing this? When is it going? Blah, 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 blah.
I'm waiting. Is there a book?
There is. They're like, I need more. And I realized that once I got that out, I was like, well, I don't have no more to write. They're like, we want you to edit it. I'm like, I don't, you know,
It's raw and it's exactly what it is supposed to be.
And honestly, I have never looked back. I got it out of me. I got it out. I told somebody. I shared it. Got it off my chest.
So Tiffany, that's what therapy is, babe.
Well, I've been there then. Not therapeutic to myself.
I still think you need therapy, but
and everybody in my comments.
No, but I'm being serious. They're already like, no wonder Nicole's going to therapy. Oh my God. Get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm. You and
your
mama and your grandmama too. And mine too.
Exactly.
And that's okay. But you know, here's my issue with therapy, and then I'm gonna let you finish. My issue with today's therapy is it's not allowing people to take accountability for themselves. It's putting things off on other people. And I know people who have come back from therapy and all they do is this. You are this and you did this and this is why this and this is why this. And I went through this because of you. And I'm like, okay, maybe I did. But you understand I was a child too, right? It's like.
That's horrible therapy,
it's like
by the way.
Therapy doesn't, and I'm not saying all therapy, there are going to be some therapists that come after me. And I'm not saying all. In my experience with people with suicides being at such a high rate and depression being at such a high rate, it seems like to me to get these people who are so heavily impacted by their traumas to release and to be able to be free with themselves is to not blame them anymore for that feeling and to find a way to attach it somewhere else. And I ain't trying to attach my shit to nobody else. I could go in there and be like, this is why I feel that way. It was my mama's fault. Hey, Ma. Because I already know it was her fault. I don't need no help with that. Shit, and my daddy. And you know, I will say this. At my young age, ripe, I'm just now holding my father accountable for things. That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother session.
It ain't this one.
It ain't this one. That's like episode 67.
It's a lot to unpack.
No. But that's the thing is there's so much to unpack. And like, obviously, like everybody has their own experiences with therapy, and you see people who go to therapy and you see their experience with therapy and you're like, well, I don't want that kind of therapy. I can honestly say that I've never experienced therapy in that way. I've always experienced that therapy in a way of taking responsibility for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I could not have changed how so-and-so was going to react in a certain kind of way. I cannot change the way you're going to react to something that I'm going to say or that somebody's going to do to you or whatever. And I have to take ownership for my shit. Just like in my marriage. I took, it's a fucking two-way street. Listen, we got a fucking divorce. People ask me all the time, especially when I first started dating somebody. So what went wrong in your divorce? Well, obviously a lot, because we're fucking not together and I'm with your dumbass on this fucking stupid date that I don't need to be on either. Fucking should have swiped left. What the fuck? Swipe right my ass. Anyway, but I just think that you have also been, and this is where I start lifting Tiffany up, because I think that you're one of the most amazing human beings, and you've helped me through some very dark times, and you've helped me overcome a lot of shit. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate our friendship. and you are my sister. And, you know, it is one of those things that people ask me all the time, like, do you talk to people from your cast and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I mean, I talk to a couple people. Like, if you're asking, like, if I'm like going on vacations with them, no, it's just different. It's a different thing. But when I talk about the things that I gained positively from that show, you are one of the first people that comes up in that conversation, because you were my fairy godmother, you know, like you were that person who let me cry and let me vent and let me say shit. And yeah, there were times that you fucking yelled at me, and there were times that you gave me tough love, and there were times that you were like, no, Nicole, you were fucking wrong. And I'm like, okay, well, I needed to hear that from somebody else who has gone through this experience, not from somebody who has no idea what it's like to live in that fucking goddamn house. And so, you know, I get very passionate about that. I'm very grateful for the relationships that have developed outside of after leaving that house. And you are one of those people. And so I just want to say thank you. But you are a strong, like, resilient woman who is a leader, and you embody so much strength and power. And it is sexy as fuck, and it's amazing. And you are a badass bitch. And I'm lucky to call you my sister. I'm lucky to call you my friend and confidant. I know that I can tell you anything. And yes, there might be tea that we want to spill and whatever, but like, the reality is that, like, I trust you, and I trust us, and I trust our connection and our bond. And you wrote a fucking book, Tiff. If you never received therapy in your life, the fact that you were able to do that, there are people who can't even tell people that they love them. Like, people don't even know how to express love and kindness and all these things. And because you were able to express all of that on paper, you're able to now share that love with other people, because you released it and you let it go, and you moved through it. You literally faced your life on words on paper. No, it's not easy to tell people that my dad was abusive. No, it's not easy to tell people that we were fucking poor, and my mom and I lived with a fucking Percocet addict, and I knew what it was like to live with a drug addict and be homeless for months of my life. And thank God my sister didn't have to experience that, because she went away to college on a full scholarship ride. And so, to her benefit, she didn't have to endure that bullshit, but I did. And I experienced that with my mom. And nobody knows those things in my life. But like, here's the thing. Those things made me stronger. I know how to put food on my table. I know how to survive. Yeah. I know how to be resilient. So it's like, there's little tits. I have little tits. There are little bits and pieces of our lives that, like, you know, people just don't know that that's what makes us up to who we are today. And I don't know. I don't even know where this is going, but I just want to say is that I know you don't go to therapy. Even when you do decide, it's nobody's business but yours. And I think that what you're doing today and creating a platform and a safe space for the people that you love and care about is your form of therapy. And I think you dealing with whatever traumas and whatever issues you had with your mom and your family growing up, this is your way of feeling better. And this is your form of therapy. And so if you never find a therapist, and if you never decide to go and talk to somebody, I think that sharing the love and strength that you have and being able to, I don't know, rub off on other people, like, it, to me, is more important than anything. And I'm just, you know, eternally grateful that you've even given me this platform to be able to kind of come out and like talk about shit that I don't talk about with other people. I mean, fuck, I half the time hate talking to people, but whatever, here we are. So anyway.
Thank you for all of those very wonderful, kind, and loving things you said about me. They say it takes a village to raise a child. I think it just takes a village in general to experience the best qualities in life. And I have a village of wonderful friends and people. And my friends that I grew up with will tell anybody that the last thing I heard them yelling to me in the car when I was leaving Big Brother was, "No new friends." And I was like, "No new friends, y'all ain't gotta worry about it. I ain't coming back with nobody." I came back with a ton of new friends. And I'm grateful for that, because you all have helped make this journey that much better. It's not just about this community that I live in. It's not just about what goes on in these four walls. It's not just about the family I was brought up in. Like, life is so much more than that. I've got to experience life and people that share similar stories and share very, very different stories, and that can allow me to see better ways of healing and growth and living. My network is my net worth, and I'm rich. Okay. I love you all. Nicole, you have been an amazing guest. We have shared more than I expected to share, and I'm sure more than you expected to share. And I think you're right. I think that this is a great form of therapy, and I hope that anyone who comes and joins me allows this to be therapeutic for them as well. And anyone listening, I hope that we provide some insight to something that you may be going through or experiencing, and share your comments below and tell me what you think. And I'm not saying I'm right on things, and I'm sure you guys will not hesitate to tell me. But be kind.
I'm 9,000,000% certain that nobody's going to hesitate to share their feelings in the comments below. So when you do share your feelings in the comments below, I don't care. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm honestly, Tiffany, like, I think you hit it right on the head. Like, yeah, share your comments below. Like, let it be a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, if you hate me, you hate me. But guess what? You ain't me. So, like, we can have that conversation too. And I know that with my relationship that I have with Tiffany is my relationship that I have with Tiffany. And that's why I am here today. And it has nothing to do with anything else. Yes, we were blessed. We went on a show. That is honestly how we met. Honestly feel like in real life, though, the relationship that I have with Tiffany, we would have crossed paths eventually in our lifetime, because we are meant to be in each other's lives.
100%.
And love me or hate me, I'm not going anywhere, because this bitch is taking me everywhere. She's,
We together.
we together.
And she about to introduce
Well, we're not
me.
together like that.
Nah, because we got it. We sisters, but
We sisters.
You got to introduce me to my. I'm trying to travel on. I'm trying to cross the other side. So we gonna talk about that another time. I'm gonna have you back. We want Nicole back. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment below.
Please.
Minus
my middle fingers. I'm really sorry. It's a habit. It's a thing.
It's yes, bitch, yes. So we free
It is
to
yes,
be
bitch,
ourselves
yes.
here. Nicole, where can our viewers and listeners find you? Shall they want more of following your story and your journey?
Absolutely. So one main place you can find me is on Instagram, and my Instagram handle is thebutchergoddess11. Please, if you're interested in subscribing to my Instagram, send me a DM. I've had a few requests, and so we're trying to build that and see where that goes.
Yes, get your subscribers up, because sometimes we want to share, and we want to share with the people who are genuine about knowing our journey, and not sharing to people who are following us just to badger us online.
Tiffany, that's never happened to you.
Girl, I got them in the hidden. It's like hidden words on my app.
Hidden words. Oh. People aren't even allowed to comment on my Instagram unless I'm friends with them as well.
The protection. Protect your energy and protect.
Listen, I have to protect it.
Yep.
There's just
be kind. Like be kind. Be kind, people. It comes back.
If you don't like me, it's okay. I'm not. It's fine. If you don't like me, it's fine.
Just leave her alone.
But if you love Tiffany, keep showing her love. Subscribe. Click on it. I don't know, download it. I don't know what else can they do. I have no idea. I don't even know how to connect this shit on. Share it. And share other people's interviews. If you don't like me, share somebody else's interview. That's fine.
I love you. Thank you for joining me.
I love you.
I look forward to having you back soon.
I love you too. And thank you.
Bye.
I appreciate you. I'm so proud of you. Wait, hold on before we go.
Uh-oh. She got another confetti.
Okay. Since you missed it in the beginning.
Oh, I knew she did.
I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
Because that's just who I am.
Okay.
But congratulations to Tiffany and her Yes Bitch Yes podcast. We going to have a party.
They need to be shot. Whoever made that. They put 10 pieces of confetti in there. Somebody counted it. They said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
They said, look, ready? There's 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Thank you. Nicole, I hope you had a great time here on Yes Bitch Yes. And I hope to see you back soon. Good luck to you in all of your journeys and endeavors. I love you. I can't wait to come to Florida on you. Oh, I'll talk to you after this because I'm coming to Florida. Just so you know, I didn't tell you.
Yes.
I'm coming. But yes, we're out of here, guys.
Yes, bitch, yes.
Yes, bitch,
Bye.
yes.